Hey everybody, I'm just going on to the new, let me make myself big. I'm going on to the new live. I might have to exit out. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I should be okay. Yep, I'm good. I'm wearing a wireless mic now, and I went and grabbed my other MacBook. I think it was my MacBook maybe, which is sad because, I mean, it's only a few years old. This one's brand new, but that one's only a few years old. So I went and grabbed it, and then I just put on the wireless mic instead of using the Blue Yeti because those Blue Yetis are junk. So if you guys don't mind, since we kind of, well, I messed up on the last live, if you guys wouldn't mind just, slapping that thumbs up, that would really help your girl out. And if you're in the market and you want to buy a new microphone, don't go buy this one. Everyone has this one. It doesn't work that great. Just go buy yourself a wireless mic that's like a good brand that you could take with you, right? So welcome in, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry I had to delete the last live. Let me see if I can. Okay, maybe it'll come right up. Okay. So what we'll do is I was going to read over an article really quick, and then we'll get right into the podcast because I do have a nail appointment coming up. So let me make sure you guys can see everything okay on your end. Yeah, you guys are good. And welcome in, everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming in and hitting the like. If you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Tanya, or Titanium Built. I literally just came back and was like, here we go. We had a live just a minute ago, and for some reason, StreamYard was messing up, so we're back for round 2. So if you're here for round 2, thank you so much for coming back. I do appreciate it. So sorry about the first live. Hopefully people will come over and they'll find us over here on the second live. I do really apologize for that. It must have been that MacBook, so because this one seems to be working just fine. But I did change out the microphone too, so that could have been it. Too much power or something. So it says up at the top, inmates plan to make Idaho killer Brian Kohberger's life hell in prison. They are waiting for him. Is that flashing on your guys' screen? It is. What is going on with this? Don't you go out on me. Do you see it? Okay, hold on. Let me check another page because that's scary. We'll go to the. I can see it even over here. This page isn't doing it. Okay. It's just something with that tab. So we're just going to skip that because we ain't messing around with that today. We are not messing with this computer. That was so weird. Because that's what my other computer does. That's why I was freaking out for a minute. My other computer, it does that, but it's at the top a little bit. So I was like, oh, it's fine. I can still, use it. Whew, that scared me. I'm sorry. So I am going to put up some visuals as we're watching the podcast. Victoria, I thought it was me for just a minute. I was like, oh gosh, is my vision going? And welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see everyone. Everyone's finding us over here. And I am going to put this under the Idaho Massacre podcast and all of that really quick. And if you guys would like to join the channel membership, we'd love to have you. It's a great way to support the channel. And let me go to YouTube real quick and get this set up just real fast. I don't think I did it before. Oh, I actually did that. Okay. And if you're new, let us know where you're from. I love to know where people are from, where they're watching from. Okay, and I will put up visuals like I said, so we'll go ahead and we'll play this. The next one is on the list. It's called Behind Bars. Brian Kohberger has begun serving his life sentence at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution, a prison known for its unforgiving conditions. And that's what I was going to show you a video of. Let's see, right here. I can actually probably pull this up. Okay. Now, if Inside Edition decides to be crappy and they're like, we hate you, I'm going to use fair use, but this might be just taken out. Sometimes they are good, sometimes they are not. So I wanted to play this because I wanted to show you what it looked like on the inside of Brian Kohberger's life behind bars before we get started with the podcast. It's only 1 minute, 30 seconds long.
This is hell on earth. It's the prison where Brian Kohberger...
Are we kidding? Am I going to do this every time? Okay, input. Output. There we go.
Kohberger will spend the rest of his life in...
Fixed it myself again.
This is hell on earth. It's the prison where Brian Kohberger will spend the rest of his life in solitary confinement, locked in his cell 23 hours a day. Meals are slid through slots in the door. Bail bondsman Kevin Corson is familiar with the prison, known as the Idaho Maximum Security Institution.
So forgiving, you know, like looking at the place on the outside. Ugh.
What do you think will happen to Brian Kohberger inside this prison?
Brian Kohberger is definitely going to have a target on his back. He's accused of murdering women, which is frowned upon inside the prison system.
It's unclear if he will be...
Well, Peru already wants a piece of him, probably.
Permitted visitors, but if he is, he would be locked in this cage and communicate remotely with them. Now, it may surprise you to learn that even in solitary confinement, Kohberger may be permitted to buy a computer tablet for $100 so he can have access to email.
Is that brand new? $100 for a tablet? You're saving $200, $300 right there. I'm about to go break the law. I'm just kidding.
Emails, music, and even movies. And get this, Kohberger may also be permitted to purchase a TV set that can be hooked up to basic cable.
He can watch crime stories.
He can watch crime stories. He can watch whatever he wants in his cell at any time.
Brian.
News Nation's Brian.
Look at Brian Enton getting a little shout out.
And Enton was granted permission yesterday to tour the facility.
Did you see the cell that would be like his cell, and what does it feel like in that cell?
It's sterile. It feels very maximum security. They send everything through a little opening in the door. Food. You're really just by yourself.
District Attorney Bill Thompson had the last.
Could you imagine that, being in a cell by yourself 23 hours a day? I would go mad.
Last word.
He's going to stand up in the belly chains and leg irons that he's wearing today. And the door will close behind him forever.
Yeah, well, maybe you had the last words, but I didn't like the words. Just because of the fact that, we could have went to trial. So this is the newest episode here. Like I said, I'll put some visuals up so you guys don't have to just look at me and the screen the whole time. I swear you better play. Remember the other day when it went play, we had played on the other thing? Don't make me go to another platform. What is up with my stuff today? Actually, I think I can do iHeartRadio better. Like, I know where this stuff is. Me. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. We're going to play it on iHeartRadio. Sometimes my Apple's been weird. I don't like that.
Quickly find trusting. It's no, but also children in your local area.
Travel. I love that both trips had very similar mental
Gallon of the fuel pumped from the Giving Pump, or a minimum donation of $300.
What happens when Delta Airlines sends
to be sent to
more about how travel can support well-being on this special episode of The Psychology of Your 20s, presented by Delta. Fly and live better. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
To be sent to MZ, you have to commit the worst of the worst crimes in Idaho.
He's holding on to that anchor, and as things got more chaotic, what do? You go back to your anchor more.
He does have a target on his back, 100%.
This is the Idaho Massacre, a production of KT Studios and iHeartRadio. Season 3, Episode 6, Behind Bars. I'm Courtney Armstrong, a producer at KT Studios with Stephanie Leidiger, Gabriel Castillo, and Allison Bankston. On July 23rd, 2025, Brian Kohberger officially became inmate number 163214 at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution in Kuna, Idaho. It's a notorious facility that landed on Security Journal America's 2024 list of the worst prisons in the United States. It's built to contain the state's most violent and unpredictable offenders. This prison has a reputation for relentless conditions, solitary confinement, overcrowding, and frequent lockdowns. Inside, inmates have few opportunities for social interaction, education, or rehabilitation. The facility has also been criticized as an environment that often breeds severe behavioral issues for harsh treatment and lack of adequate mental health care. Reports of inmate-on-inmate violence are common, and allegations of excessive force by correctional officers continue to hang over the institution's legacy. It's a place where survival is a daily struggle. To help us understand what life behind these walls will really be like for Brian Kohberger, we turn to bail bondsman Kevin Corson, a man who knows the inner workings of this infamous facility. He's joined by KT Studios producer Allison Bankston.
If you can tell me about your background, what you do with your bail company, how you're related to the prison.
I've been doing this for about 10 years and I love it. And we have a lot of people that get sent to prison, obviously, the clients that we work with. And we hear back from them, a lot about the conditions and stuff like that we hear about, and, just kind of what it's like there.
What can you tell me about the Idaho Maximum Security Institution? For someone who's never been there, can you paint kind of a very detailed picture of it? Walk me through it.
So it was constructed in 1989. It is currently set up to house roughly 530 prisoners. So when you pull up to the South Boise Prison Complex, where IMSI, the Maximum Security Institution, is housed, it's 7 different buildings that you're kind of pulling up to there. And it ranges from alternative placement to work release to a women's prison to a general prison to community and reintroducement facilities. And the Maximum Security Institution is one of 7 of those buildings out there. And it is the one with double fencing around it. It's got razor wire. It has electronic monitoring on the outside. It has 24-hour guards on the outside that are armed, fully watching the perimeter at any given time. To be sent to IMZ, you have to either commit murder or a rape or, several different things stacking up. Really extreme cases of drug trafficking and stuff like that. Definitely the worst of the worst crimes in Idaho, not just a theft or beating somebody up and stuff like that, or aggravated assault, or it's going to be somebody that they see as a high risk for reoffense, or they have an entire lifetime, a rap sheet of this, and there's just no turning this person around. So everybody in IMSI is under very strict housing, but not everybody has the 23-hour a day rule. There are some inmates that are like in close custody that are able to have more freedom within the facility and be housed with each other, eat their meals somewhat normally, not in their cell for the rest of their life.
And how about Brian Kohberger? Where is he housed? What is his custody situation like?
Kohberger is now housed on J Block. J Block is as secure as it gets. It's very bare bones. There's only the stuff you need. It's not a comfy bed. It's not a comfy toilet to sit on. It's a dirty sink and a slot for your food to come through for every meal that you're going to eat. J Block is where the death row inmates are housed, as well as the max of the max prisoners are kept. So there's a section for death row, and there's also a section for people that are up there with that security level, but not on death row, and they eat in their cells every meal for however long they're there.
What is life like in these cells? What do these inmates do for entertainment?
You don't have access to a TV in the cell. You can get an iPad and you can come out into the open area outside of the cell, and your 1 hour a day that you're allowed out. You can either go exercise, you can buy a tablet and have access to visit people on that, limited access to the internet, limited access to TV shows, but you're only allowed an hour out a day. So you better choose wisely what you want to do. When you're watching this iPad, you're going to be in a cage in the middle of this room. And so you can't just walk around with it. You can't bring it back to your cell.
I'm intrigued what you said about the tablet.
Oh, so I thought they could have the tablets in their cell. Well, how did Alec Murdoch take the nipple pic then? He was laying down in a bed.
But so, because I think a lot of people, so they can't bring the tablets into their cells.
No.
Because I think when I first read that he had a tablet and maybe he can get a TV, I'm thinking, oh, he's just going to watch movies all day in his cell and be entertained. But so I think that's a good distinction, is that they're only allowed 1 hour and they can play with their tablet then, essentially.
Yep. 1 hour a day, tablet, visitation, exercise, watching a show on the tablet, watching, limited internet and books. But other than that other 23 hours a day, you're staring at a wall.
Do you know what kind of like TV shows they have access to and what websites they can go on?
So the websites are mainly going to be informational. If an inmate wants to appeal their case, they have access to stuff like that. Like I said, just purely informational, no Facebook. As far as the TV shows, it's going to be nothing of violence, nothing that kind of pertains to why they're there, nothing that they can sort of enjoy.
Right.
He gets to shower every other day. It's kind of odd to think about, but that sucks, but that's where you are. And it's pretty much the same for the rest of the inmates.
One thing that really stood out to me is, there's been this document dump and we're kind of learning some things about what his life was like at the Latah County Jail. I guess he was known for taking like hour showers, and he would just sit in there and, wash his hands aggressively all the time. That's not something he could do at IMSI, it sounds like.
So he does have access to a sink, but, it sounds like he's kind of a germaphobe and the needing to wash the hands all the time, and he's kind of maybe a little bit OCD about stuff, and he's gonna probably not have a lot of
what
soap
stuff
that they're gonna be providing him all the time. That's kind of a
what stuff would he be OCD to other than the cleanliness of the hands? I have yet to see him do anything other than cleaning his hands. I mean, that could be an OCD. That could be one, but like that's the only thing I've seen him do.
luxury as far as he's doing it. But yeah, he does have access to a sink, and the shower thing probably really bugs him every other day.
Do you know anything about the food in there? Like the fact that he's, a very strict vegan. What could he be seeing? How could the rest of his life look from that standpoint?
The dietary requirements for an individual, whether they be vegan, vegetarian, the prison does accommodate that, and they do have certain menus that they are able to give the inmates. If you get too picky, though, it clearly says on the website, we're not going to jump through hoops for you, but they do provide what they're required to as far as dietary restrictions. And yeah, I actually have a menu right here.
Oh, I'd love to know.
For MZ.
I'm so curious. Yes, please share.
I mean, it's not a bad menu. Biscuits and gravy for breakfast.
He ain't gonna eat that. It's got sausage in it, usually.
Peanut butter pancakes another day, French toast, coffee cake, pumpkin bread. And this is stuff that not only the close custody people are getting, but also on J Block, death row, and the worst of the worst there, all the way down
to pumpkin bread. What, are we kidding?
To lower level. Day 2 of the month, you're gonna get mac and cheese. Day 6, pizza, barbecue chicken.
Oh yeah, barbecue chicken's out.
chili, beef
Chili's
tacos,
out. Tacos out.
meatloaf.
That's out.
So it doesn't sound very bad, you know.
If you like meat,
There's visitation there, in-person visitation, but it's very limited. It's very strict as far as who can go. There's a whole application process for somebody coming to visit an inmate there. And Kohberger's days will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that he's limited to.
Oh, wow. So he actually has quite a few days for visitors to show up.
Correct, but it all has to be approved. And it's not, you know, the prison system, they're liable for these people's safety. They have to provide food, water, shelter, and beyond that, a limited amount of exercise. If the prisoner is, you know, behaving well, they can do that. As far as visiting, they can easily deny people coming or even video.
Some of the people that you work with, they come back to you and they tell you what IMSI is like. What are some of the stories they've shared with you about their experiences there?
The status of the living situation there has been kind of a contentious issue with the Department of Correction here. There's been many complaints about the living conditions, the excessive use of force, the excessive use of solitary confinement for inmates that, you know, the stories are they did nothing wrong and it's been investigated, and there's been a couple lawsuits about it against the Department of Correction here. And it's not a nice place. It's not clean. Kohberger is going to hate that. The vents, we've all heard about PCs being shoved into the vents, and the vent system goes around to the entire place. I have heard about people communicating through vents from clients and inmates urinating on the floor, and it's just kind of a constant game of cleanup there. And these people have nothing left to lose. You know, they're already being put in solitary and stuff like that. What more can you do? And it's a very, very dark place.
Let's stop here for a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Straight arrow to lazy day.
This product contains
About dogs. Dog deserves a loving.
And Rachel's new.
On July 23rd, 2025, Brian Kohberger began the rest of his existence inside the Idaho Maximum Security Institution after being sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms for the brutal murders of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Known as IMSI, this facility is reserved for Idaho's most violent and dangerous inmates. It's a place that has garnered a reputation for its harsh, hell-like conditions. Overcrowding, extended lockdowns, and criticism over the poor treatment of inmates. For many, life at IMSI is isolating, grueling, and relentless. And now, that's the world Brian Kohberger is facing every single day. And it seems he's struggling to adapt. Reports indicate he's been firing off complaint after complaint to prison staff, detailing his discontent with his new reality. Here's Stephanie Leidecker with crime analyst Body Movin' breaking down Kohberger's latest prison quarrels and what they might reveal about him.
This is why I'm calling him Brian Karenberger. His handwriting is literally the worst thing ever, but I'm going to read them to you.
You're going to get so crazy. Just by the way, trigger alert. This is going to make everybody nuts. I feel so enraged right now, and that's a rare feeling for me. I'm not really the enraged one, but I'm
You're really
feeling
not.
it
You're
right
very
now.
level-headed. This was dated on July 27th, and he was still in medical on the 27th. Okay, so we need to keep all that in mind, okay? So this was written on the 27th, and he says, I need access to the JPay system to access and complete an order created on, I think it's or crafted on a full commissary menu.
He's hungry. This clown is hungry. He's just exhausted and hungry from killing people. This guy wants his dinner and his lunch now.
When attempting to access JPay, I am given an error that I am not set up in the system at the C block. Again, he's in medical at this time, okay? At the C block kiosk. May I temporarily moved in the system to do so? Thank you for your assistance.
So
Okay, so
formal.
that's one complaint, okay? The next one is, okay. I did not receive my lunch on 7/30/2025 despite inquiring. Although I understand that the something became hectic, it was never communicated to me that I would be unable to receive a new bag. The next shift was not aware of this either. I wish to access this as I have a right to this meal. Thank you. As
Is
I
he in
have
kindergarten?
He can't go back and get a meal that they didn't give to him 4 days ago.
Is he
Dude.
actually asking for a middle school lunch?
Yeah.
And then it says, I have tried to solve this problem informally by, and then he says, speaking with staff several times. And then the next thing it says, I suggest the following solution for the problem. And he says, in the future, I wish to receive my lunch without exception. This could be accomplished by sending for the replacement as rapidly as possible.
What a great solution.
So that's the whole thing.
Kohberger. Thank God you're here.
Right.
Well, listen, I would suggest you don't murder 4 people
I would too.
and go to prison and expect your vegan meal. The end, exclamation point. That story is over.
Right. And he had said something like, if I don't receive everything on my tray, you're not meeting the nutritional requirements as documented by your own policy.
What?
And the immediate.
I'm telling you right now, they just didn't give him his damn hot dogs on his tray because he's vegan. They just took something off because he's vegan and he is throwing a shit fit. I think that's what it is.
Immediately, I was like, God, I wonder if, the children or the young adults that you murdered, wonder about you violating their policy for, the right to live, and the people that you harassed at WSU, the policy of violating Title IX, maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly.
How about being a total creeper and making everybody super uncomfortable, and then you taking the lives of 4 extraordinary human beings, wrecking generations of lives for all of their families, all of those who knew them and loved them. The ripple effect of that will go on for generations and generations and generations. And this clown feels it's appropriate to be upset about his meals.
Right.
I got to tell you, the nerve, it feels to me like it's not sinking in entirely to Brian Kohberger, that he's not getting the fact that he was spared his life and he took a coward's way out by not sharing any of the details or any of the information for reasons we'll never know. And now he just wants to be treated per the law, per prison conduct. Give me a break.
So in addition to the meal complaints, which I think, listen, I do think that we need to feed these people, but he's also complaining about being taunted in prison by the other inmates. He's saying he's being sexually harassed. Kohberger accused one inmate of saying, I'll butt F you, and another stating that the only ass we're going to be eating is Kohberger's. He requested a transfer out of the J block, got moved up 1 floor to J2, which is the 2nd level. He filed a complaint saying that he was being subjected to minute-by-minute threats and harassment. His cell was flooded. He told the committee that he wants to eventually be allowed to work and be productive in prison and have shared recreation, just like any other high-profile resident on J2 does. And, listen, in 10 years, people probably will have forgotten about Brian Kohberger, and he might get that privilege. But for right now, he's exactly where he belongs, by himself in a cell, only allowed out 1 hour a day in shackles, and only allowed to shower every other day.
And Kohberger's entitled behavior didn't start at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution. Documents released by the Moscow Police Department and the Idaho State Police show that even in county jail, he was a constant nuisance, pushing boundaries and acting entitled. To break down what these reports reveal about him, here's crime analyst Body Movin', along with KT Studios producer Allison Bankston.
We learned, the documents tell us that Brian Kohberger was annoying in Latah County Jail. The people that were in jail with him found him incredibly annoying. He would pace his cell. He would wash his hands constantly.
And I guess when he first was admitted into Latah County, he just walked into the pod and saw himself on TV and was like, wow, I'm on every channel. What a bizarre thing to say for your grand entrance. And this is before he even pled. He's presumed innocent. He's acting all proud that he's admitted into Latah.
Documents tell us that Brian Kohberger was annoying in Latah County Jail. The people that were in jail with him found him incredibly annoying. He would pace his cell. He would wash his hands constantly.
And I guess when he first was admitted into Latah County, he just walked into the pod and saw himself on TV and was like, wow, I'm on every channel. What a bizarre thing to say.
What? Wow. Yeah, that's me. Here I am. You freaking weirdo.
say for your grand entrance? And this is before he even pled. You know, he's presumed innocent. He's acting all proud that he's on TV, odd behavior. And, you know, the weird thing, too, in this particular report is that, you know, this inmate is saying Brian loved watching the news when it was just him on it, you know, news stories just surrounding his case. But he would immediately change the channel if his family was mentioned. Like immediately, he'd turn it off. And these fellow inmates are also saying, you know, that he'd spent hours and hours on the phone with his
Mother.
Right. And in one instance, one of the inmates was watching TV, like kind of in like their day room, I'm imagining. And Brian Kohberger was on the phone with his mother. And, you know, he's watching sports on TV and he's yelling at the TV, oh, shut up, or, you know, something along those lines. And Brian Kohberger kind of rushed over and put his, you know, head between the bars and said, what did you say? Are you talking, you know, kind of implying that the inmate was talking about Brian Kohberger's mom, and Brian got incessant about it. That's pretty scary. Listen, I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know the answer. Is there something weird there with his mom? Does he have some sort of reverence for his mom, and maybe women don't live up to his mom's, you know, image? Like, is he Madonnifying his mom in some way? I don't know.
I wonder if that's why he wanted Mama to be there during his sentencing. Because you notice his dad wasn't there, right? Like maybe they couldn't afford to have both of them go, so she went. And that was the first time she had been there.
We brought in Robin Dreek, a retired FBI special agent and former head of the Bureau's Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, to offer his perspective on Brian Kohberger's complicated and potentially strange relationship with his mother.
His relationship with his mom is really interesting. You know, and we see these with other serial killers too, like famous Ed Gein. He's obsessed with his mom as well. He inspired Norman Bates. Brian Kohberger's mom seems like a normal person. She doesn't seem like Ed Gein's mom, who is this kind of terrible person in a lot of ways. But what is it about someone's relationship with their mom and this idolization of their mom that would make like a hatred for women or a want to kill? What is it with serial killers and mothers?
They're all different. You know, the only sense I get, again, no data points on this because the mother's not sharing anything, but from what we see from the family dynamic, again, limited data points, you know, so it's all conjecture. I don't get the sense of a Norman Bates kind of thing here with a domineering mother. To me, this is, and from what I've seen a few psychologists online say, it's not necessarily mother fixation. I just think this is his only sense of emotional anchoring he gets, his only sense of anchoring he has. Because life in his brain is just chaos, I think, and he can't, and that's why he's OCD. That's why he fixates on things. Is try to control that. And the only thing that's been stable that doesn't bring chaos to his brain, my estimation, is his mother. Because what a mother does, or just any compassionate, empathetic individual will do, is not judge. And when you're not being judged, that becomes an anchor for you, that no matter what happens, I can go back to my anchor. No matter what happens, I go back to my anchor. And so my estimation, my conjecture is she is just that anchor that was there no matter what he did, no matter what kind of day he's having. You know, dad's the one that's going to help me by taking action, by turning me into the police when I steal my sister's cell phone, and take actions to drive across the country with me because he's a caring dad. But dad in this case looks like a problem solver. Mom just looks like the anchor. And so he's holding on to that anchor. And as things got more chaotic, what do? You go back to your anchor more. That's why I think he called her more and more and more in prison.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Thank you. You know, I honestly really feel for his mom. That has to be such a tough situation to be in. You know, mothers are supposed to love their sons. She can't just ignore his phone calls. I'm sure this is heartbreaking and devastating for her. I honestly don't know what I would do. I also wanted to ask you another question about Brian Kohberger's prison life from a behavioral standpoint. Just something I was wondering about. You know, he seems like such a cocky person. You know, we read earlier reports that he was bragging about being on TV to his fellow inmates. A lot of people who knew him said he always had to be the smartest person in the room. Going into prison, do you think that he thought that he would be kind of like a rock star? Do you think he thought, I'm going to be the most popular person there, I'm going to be notorious, I did the worst thing? What do you think was going through his mind before he decided to plead guilty and say, you know, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in prison?
So one of the things that I believe, or a motivation for the behavior he had is, and he said it earlier in life, wasn't stimulated by anything. So you're constantly going for some sort of emotional stimulation. It's why he experimented and got into drugs. It's why we do everything in life. Kickboxing will give you, stimulation. So I think he was always seeking some sort of stimulation. So I think when he resolved to finally admit guilt, he was looking forward to being stimulated by being notorious in prison. So his mind started shifting. He's like, I will be this famous person. But because he thinks in a stovepipe, he wasn't really fully appreciating the fact of how prisons generally run about, and if you kill women or children.
Let's stop here for a break. We'll be back in a moment. Brian Kohberger may have believed his name would carry weight behind bars, but prison life doesn't work that way. To explain why, we brought back bail bondsman Kevin Corson. He spent years around inmates and understands the reality of surviving inside.
He goes to this facility and there's people in there, this is their home. And when you're in these places, you're the biggest and baddest person in there, and that's how you survive. And he's the new guy there. Yeah, he probably does have that thinking, I'm going to have notoriety when I get there, and I'm going to be this guy that did this, and all these other bad people are going to look up to me. That's not the case. You're coming into their house where they live, and you better play by the rules. And that's the number one reason why they have to keep him away from other people, because it's not notoriety that he has there. It's these people that are the biggest and the baddest that would love to hurt him, stick him with a fork, stick him, with a shaved down blade.
They don't give you
to
forks.
make a name for themselves, because this is their
You get a spork, buddy.
their home, and it has been for a while. So you get so institutionalized with the way you deal with stuff, and it's technically a disrespect. You're coming into my home, and we're going to make sure you play by our rules. Otherwise, if we have the chance to get you, we will. And he does have a target on his back, 100%.
And it's a target he will likely carry for the rest of his life. There is very little chance that Brian Kohberger will ever see the general prison population again. His future is one of permanent solitary confinement, a world of cement walls, endless lockdowns, and hours that bleed together into gray, monotonous days. No redemption, no freedom, no escape. Just the consequences of his own choices haunting him every single day. This is the existence he created. This is the life he will endure, and this is the legacy he leaves behind. Next time on the Idaho Massacre, we're joined by sociologist Dr. Michael Kimmel, a leading expert on men's studies and masculinities. Some have speculated that Brian Kohberger could have been part of the incel movement. But is
Okay, let me get this picture off of here. Oh, there I am. It's going to come back up. I'm sorry, I pressed it twice. I didn't mean to do that. But thank you guys all for being here today. I do have to get my nails done, so I'm going to jump off kind of early. But I might come back on tonight. I'm not sure yet. But if I don't, I'll put something on the community tab. But if I do, maybe we'll go do part 2 of the psychological exam that we're going to give Brian Kohberger. We're doing the HARE, HARE test on him, which is going to tell us if we think, in our own opinions, because we're not doctors, if we think he's a psychopath or not. So, you never know. Hey, TCL, welcome in. He did put his target on his back. He did. He said, why would you say someone's name? So crazy to me. But I will be back on either tonight or tomorrow, and I'll post a picture of these fingernails. Look, they don't even look like they're done. I swear they've been the same color since May. So it'll be nice to see some yellow, yellow in there. But thank you guys all for being here. I do appreciate it. I'm going to jump off kind of early. Like I said, Vincent's getting ready to get off work. I'm going to rest for just a minute because I got to be over there here in like 30 minutes or so. So this chair's not very comfortable. It is, but it's so far back. There's my little pumpkin pillow. I need to like get a pillow for this chair. Cause see how far back it goes? Like, so like for me to like rest my back. So I've been sitting like up this whole time. So I'll have to get something for that. I think I'm so used to that too, sitting like that in the computer chair. So, but thank you guys all for being here today. I do appreciate it. Thank you for coming back and joining me for the second live, because the first one was kind of crazy. I didn't even do the intro to the second one. But I will do the outro. So thank you guys again for being here. I appreciate it. Hey, MAGA Mama, thanks for listening in. But I appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you guys all later on.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back.